we have a featured speaker, and you guys have probably been watching the social media and the marketing, and we are so blessed that this woman, and I'm just going to make sure that she's in the room. She is in the room. Dorothea, is she in the room? Yes. We have our next speaker, Kimberly. For some reason I don't see. Where's
Guys.
Okay, there you are. Okay, I just didn't see your beautiful face yet. Okay, so
hello everyone.
Hello. So let me introduce you and let me do a proper introduction to the Miss Kimberly Butler. So
I have no light. I have no light.
No, you have no light. You are the light. You are the light. So look at.
Hold on.
Let me tell you a little bit about Kimberly, and we're going to do as she's getting the light. We're going to I'm going to do an introduction here. So, look, she has been called a force of nature, and when I finish sharing with you what this woman has accomplished so far, and you kind of get she's just started. So, I mean, yes, she is the author of the acclaimed book called The Art of Fear. She has not only photographed world leaders and celebrities. There it is. Celebrities and world leaders. So many you can't even begin to talk about. And I know, like, if you've seen her if you go to Kimberly Butler Photography, you see a lot of incredible celebrities holding a book because of her love and her drive and desire for the word on the page of this READ program. So you'll see Sarah Jessica Parker and Taylor Swift and Keira Knightley and all sorts of really amazing stories that we want to hear from you. You have been a regular contributor. You were a regular contributor for 10 years on People magazine.
Yes.
You have traveled extensively in the Middle East, the former Soviet Union, as a photojournalist. There is so many things that I could list here. I'm going to let you be you and show you and talk about you and tell us about how a kid from the Bronx,
Queens.
Queens. Sorry. Okay, Queens. Okay, I'm not looking.
I didn't want to correct you. I saw it.
Yes, you do. Correct me. Go ahead. How
all the immigrants came to Queens and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
My grandpa was an immigrant.
You think I'd know.
It's fine.
How you went from that to being this, I mean, again, acclaimed force of nature. And when you meet her, you'll know that. So tell us a little bit about your story. Thank you for coming and standing up, showing up and speaking up. I know you do it often. I know you get asked often. And we're just so grateful.
Well, thank you. And after listening to everybody, everybody is so real. And, authentic is, I think, overused, but it really is true. Because my whole thing in The Art of Fear is that we wear masks. We wear masks our whole life. So I'm just going to give you my background as a child to kind of frame how this happened. I was thrown into an orphanage when I was about 6, 7 years old because my father had post-traumatic stress disorder and my mother was self-medicating. We had no other family, so they threw me, the local priest who actually married them, threw me into this orphanage. And I was beaten there, bullied, it was an absolute nightmare. And it was around the corner from the grammar school and the junior high school. So when I finally reunite with my parents about 2 years later, I'm still going to school with all those same kids that told me that I was nothing for like the next 4 years. So I grew up with absolutely no self-esteem, but I was a wild child. I would run and play and be adventurous and just completely in my imagination, just moving all the time and doing a lot of sports, probably for the anxiety we were talking about before. So we moved and I went to Forest Hills High School. At that time, I end up living by myself in an apartment at 16. So I'm actually taking my regents at 16 in this apartment by myself because I couldn't live with either parent. It's a very complex story, so I'm trying to nail it down to its absolute I'm writing my memoirs now, and it's extremely complicated. So I decide, well, I got to get a practical job. I got to get a great job, because the only thing that's going to lift me up out of this self-hate, because everybody told me I was primally betrayed by the two people that were supposed to love me unconditionally. And then everybody else was horrid, except my 5th grade teacher, who became my Yiddish mama, Adele Goldfarb. She was the one that said to me, "You, tell me about yourself, talk to me." So for the next 50 years, her and I are friends until she died 2 years ago. I lost her to Alzheimer's. So the remarkable, what one person can do in your life can make a huge difference. So I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a lawyer. I got a big mouth. I never stop talking. This will be great. I'll be perfect. I'll be a lawyer. So I go to John Jay College because I have no money. They're a city college here in New York, and they specialize in criminal justice. And it was the best education that I had. They had an interdisciplinary program where you would have one professor teach you. The first year was the exceptional person. So we would study Hitler, FDR, like all these great historical figures, but look at them from a sociological point of view, a psychological point of view, all these different points of view with different professors. So it taught me how to learn, because I had struggled with dyslexia all through grammar school, all the way through high school. I was called stupid by my teachers to my face. I mean, I was just a total loser. I couldn't make it no matter what. So, sorry, that's Layla. She's 9 pounds. She's 9 pounds. She thinks she's a Rottweiler. Sorry. So, hey, somebody get Layla. There we go. Anyway, so I did that, and then it was time to pick a major. I was going from my sophomore to my junior year, and I'm walking down 9th Avenue, and I said, you know what? You're never, ever going to be able to pass through law school. You're never going to be able to do that. And I remembered something. For all my parents' trouble, they were extraordinarily wise. In moments of clarity, I had great parents. And my mother had said to me, do what you love. I don't care what you do. If you want to be a garbage man, that's her famous quote, be a garbage man, but do what you love. So I said, well, what do you love? Well, I love movies. He said, then go to film school. So I did. I went to NYU Film School. While I'm there, I quickly realized that I don't like the structure of working on a team on film. I don't like it. That independence and that independent mind just was so intense that I started taking more photography courses, because I said, I can become a photographer and I can work on my own. And actually, when I got out of school, I went to work for a very famous producer, Dino De Laurentiis, that was Fellini's producer. And it was so full of politics and so full of nonsense that I said, this is it. I'm just going to start assisting as a photographer and open my own business. So that's how it started. It started with me just going out, getting assistant jobs, working, learning. Then I get a little job here and a little job there from a friend and a little job there. And then just started to pick up the phone and call Time Magazine and get a nice person on the phone and say, hey, can I show you my book? And one person looked at it, another person looked at it. And before you know it, I'm at Sports Illustrated. Then I go to Time, and then People Magazine grabs me. And I'm there for 10 years. While I'm at People Magazine, I'm also house photographer at Radio City Music Hall across the street. And I'm also the top photographer at ABC, that a friend hooked me up on a job to go down to Florida to shoot a show. I shot one thing for them. They only wanted me. So I was then assigned to be Barbara Walters' photographer for the next 8 years. And we did everything together. All her stuff I shot, because I knew when and when not to interrupt an interview. because all the other photographers had made that mistake before me. Fear. I have a little different take on fear. I lived my entire life in fear. Fear of being beaten up every day, which I was. Fear of abandonment. Fear of being physically hurt, which I was terribly. I was thrown off an embankment about 8 feet in the orphanage the first day, and I've had back pain my whole life from it. And I started to realize, as I'm standing there and I'm making these lists of who I can call and where do I want to work, I started to realize that fear and anxiety were energy. So instead of letting that stop me, I thought about all those people that said I'd never do nothing, and I took those chemicals that are being produced in the body. Those are chemicals that are causing those effects. Your fear is chemicals. Your anxiety is chemicals. And I took that energy and I pushed it towards what I wanted. Was I scared? Oh, yeah. Was I just completely ballsy? Yes, I was. And but the thing was, the thought of working with other people in political situations, I call it death by cubicle. I'm too honest, I'm too open, I'm too wild child to be in a situation. It was the fear of that life, of a boring life, of a 9-to-5 life. That fear pushed me into becoming who I became. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, as I'm listening to you talk and you're like, oh, I did a couple of jobs, and then I picked up the phone and called, you know, a company that people would think as a young photographer, I'll get there one day. I'll make my way one day. And so you're like, oh, you know, I did a couple of jobs, I did this, and I was like a junior photographer, and then all of a sudden I'm like Sports Illustrated, you know, like, and so now you're sharing that. What made you decide to make, because we do that. I believe that we feel like we have to earn our wings. We have to pay our dues. We have to stay small until we've earned being able to be big. And what I'm hearing is that you kind of went for it anyways. Yes, you have a ballsy nature.
Okay, if I'm going to be absolutely truthful,
Sure.
I knew all those people were wrong. I knew that I was special. I knew it.
Right on.
Maybe I don't mean to sound egotistical, but the proof is in the pudding. I knew, and maybe that belief is what made it happen. But I was dead set to make them wrong, to make all of them wrong. And it's so funny because I called today. Oh my God, we saw your picture. We couldn't believe it's you. We always knew you'd be great. We loved you. They all want to be my best friends now.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. So, I'm sorry. No.
I think
you got to keep me on the mark, Deb.
No, that's so like, let's talk about that for a minute. It's like, how many people know that they really got it? Like, how many people know that they really got it? Most people know. They're like, I know. I mean, Lori was talking about that. Like, I'm not good at these things, but I'm really good at this. She's really good at things that no one wants to do, or what have you. Like, and to put your own power behind that. And then when you're calling, they feel that, they hear that. It's like they have two ears, right? They have theirs, and then they can hear you. There's a level of competence or confidence. I think that's incredible.
Well, again, the alternative to living a normal life. Now we're going back now, like 30 years. Okay, how many choices did women have? I was the first woman at Sports Illustrated. We had no choices. And I watched my mother not be able to take care of her child because her husband got mentally ill from the war, and she had no resources. She had no way. People were literally sleeping with the boss at the phone company to get promotions, and she wouldn't do it. Okay. And I just could not be stopped. I was absolutely I knew that I was right and that they were wrong, and that I was going to show them.
That's
And
no, go ahead.
go ahead. Who was saying something?
No, I was, because it went gap for a minute. There was like we couldn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to live a free, independent life because I basically had been incarcerated as a child, right? I was like Oliver Twist or one of these things. And I just didn't want to be under the yoke of somebody else or playing politics in an office. The fear of that and having to wear all those different masks was much more frightening than going up and picking up a phone and calling People Magazine. And I always came from a place of humility and politeness. Hello, how do you do? My name is Kimberly Butler. I was wondering, blah, blah, blah. You know, I never, because I see a lot of photographers and they're so arrogant, especially the guys. And I'm like, that's not going to work. That's only going to work with people who are just as arrogant as you that are going to hire you. I've had clients for 20 years and have just had a remarkable, remarkable career. I did move out of ABC when they hired a man to run the photo department that didn't like women. So what did I do? I called NBC. And I landed I ended up landing the Atlanta Olympics. So I shot all the teams that do all like the broadcasting and everything for the, you know, like, so it's the ice skating team. There's 4 guys, you know, and then you had Bob Costas is hosting the whole thing and doing that. So I was constantly shifting, constantly. I never rested on one thing. I was constantly moving around. Something new came up, and that's what led me to read. One day I'm at a publisher's convention and I see these read posters and it's Baryshnikov and Bowie. And I said, wait a minute, I can do that. I called the people and I said, I love what you're doing. I'd love to be involved. And I've now shot that for 20 years straight. And now I've moved often into banned books, which I have my shirt on today. There they are. Now, if you go on my site, you can see about 7 or 8 of them I've done. And I'm going to do all of them through this year and produce a book about 100 shots. You have to go and see them because I've written on people's bodies, the quote from the book. So this way I could get your attention. And people go, look, they look and there's a naked body, and then they read. And it's Maya Angelou's Caged Bird Sings. And there's this beautiful Black woman, her hair all pulled back, naked. And it says, don't be nervous. You liked it the last time, didn't you? Because she was raped at 8. I was raped at 5. 1 out of 3 women in America are molested. And now I'm doing my memoirs, and I am, you know, to quote Adele, laying everybody's shit bare. I am going to tell them my truth. And so now it comes to the last quarter, right? It comes to that last third, if you like hockey instead. And I want to devote my life to helping other people. And I'm doing that through the read. I'm doing that with the banned books, writing my memoir. But one big thing that I did leave out when I was talking, and let me know if I get boring so Deb can ask me a question and keep me on track, okay? Please.
Just go.
Okay, all right, okay, cool. So my friend Shara was my boss at Radio City. She leaves and she goes to United Jewish Appeal. And the Soviets had just collapsed. The wall came down. So she says, look, we're getting all the Jews out of the Ukraine, out of Chechnya. We need somebody to go over and do their portraits on location in these countries. And I told them there's only one person that can do this. So can you come up tomorrow and meet this crew? So that begins me going on about 10 missions into Russia in its Wild West phase. I had been there when it was communist on a trip when I was 19. Now it's in its Wild West phase. Now it's in its Putin phase. But it was wild chaos. The mafia, the Russian mafia was running everything. It was nuts. And we got all these people out. And you just see these, like this elderly woman walking 2 miles with 2 pails to get water through the snow. And it's 10, 20 degrees below zero. And it's just those moments. And then all those missions I went on, plus I was kidnapped by my own bodyguards in Chechnya. No, they didn't want money. They were very lonely for 18 months. Let's put it that way, what they wanted. But I got myself out of it and I escaped on a plane. It's a long story. I don't think you have to hear it. You know, you read the memoir, buy my memoir when it's ready. But I get out of it. And I just so quickly realized how fortunate I was. I was educated by a very brilliant father, very brilliant, but I think he had Asperger's, and then the war just put him over the edge. And a very, very wonderful common sense mother, who I got the joy of taking care of her the last 5 years of her life as she died slowly from Parkinson's disease. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen that, but it is brutal. And we dealt with it in humor and love and forgiveness. So everything in the end came together with forgiveness. It was really, so I was lucky in a lot of ways. And I see that now, that you can't paint one thing just with one brush. You have to say, yeah, but they were good in all these other things. I wasn't born this savvy. I was taught to be this savvy by these two people when they were there, coming and going, but they caused a lot of pain also. So that had to be recognized. So now also I go to Jordan a lot and work in the Syrian refugee camps. There's some of those shots on my site too, and just work to send these pictures out to show people what's happening in the world. We're so lucky here that, there's not one person here that doesn't have a roof over their head, that doesn't have running water, that doesn't have food on the table. And you're there and everyone's living in a UN tent. And they're come in, and they're making me coffee and they're putting a little piece of pita bread and a tomato on it and sitting down and making lunch with that, So my life has been this extraordinary journey from being an abused, lost child, but remembering what that was to feel that way. And now as an adult, middle-aged woman, understanding that you have to come from a place of humility and compassion always, in order to be your most authentic self. And I have moved more and more into that as time has gone by. So if I walk in to photograph, I don't know, President Clinton, or I walk in to Anthony Hopkins or Taylor Swift, or just someone who comes over for a headshot to the studio, everyone gets treated the same. And just like I am here, hi, what's happening? What are you doing? What's going on? The first day I met President Bush Sr., he came out by himself and there's no Secret Service. I'm like, what? And he says, you must be Kim. I said, you must be the new president. He says, you want coffee? I said, yeah, I'll take some coffee. That's great. And we were sitting on boxes that he was packing. And we became great friends. And because I don't put anybody up on a pedestal, I put kindness and generosity and help. That's the most important thing to me. And what I've learned from being an abused child, because so many people that are abused become the abusers. And I was very worried about that. So I consciously worked on myself always. so that I wouldn't become that type of person. And so I think that's it. Questions?
Questions? Well, and put some questions in the chat. I know, Angel, do you have a question?
I do. I mean, what an extraordinary life, Kimberly, that you have had and have broken through and overcome personally and professionally. I love, she picked up the phone. Like, how many times did she say that? Like, I picked up the phone, and that she totally knew, like, she was special, didn't believe what everybody else was saying, and that she couldn't, she just knew. But you've got the read series, you've got your memoir coming out. Is there like a bucket list thing, a dream, something that is still kind of a big desire for you, Kimberly?
Well, there is one thing. There is one thing that Deb knows about this a little bit. Recently, I got a call from the Mormons, and the Mormons asked me to come down because they had found something extraordinary about my lineage. And it turns out that my 32nd grandfather was Rollo the Viking, which is why I have that finger. It's Viking disease. And this one was operated on, and I became an addict thanks to the Sacklers. So don't forget to look at my Alice in Opioid Land as my thank you to them on my site. And I go down through William the Conqueror, is like 5 grandfather and grandmothers down, William the Conqueror, first king of England, to all the kings and queens of England, until my grandfather is born the youngest to the king and leaves for America and becomes a doctor. And his great-grandsons fight in the American Revolution. And we become this family that lives on top of a mountain that grows apples and sends them to Europe as brandy apple cider. It's a historic landmark. They're buried there. The ones that served, they lived. One was killed at Grant's headquarters in the Civil War. He's not buried there. And I've always had a tremendous love for our country. And when I found this out, it made total sense. And they gave me all the documents, everything. And as I started looking through it, which is the really interesting part, and the woman that's helping me with my memoirs is his historian, it's the queens that are the magnificent ones. The queens, William the Conqueror's mother, okay, William the Conqueror's wife, he gets killed, she goes into battle, okay? So then I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is amazing. This is amazing. And they say, oh, but the DNA, it destroys itself, it falls away, and I'm saying, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. So was it nature or was it nurture? It obviously wasn't nurture. So I'm more of the thing that I was just born this way. See pictures of me when I'm 2 years old with a face on, that I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm watching. Sorry. I don't know why people do that. I'm just watching all these documentaries now on my family. I don't say this right. The Plantagenets. Anybody who's a history buff here? But these are all the kings and queens of Ireland in the upper Middle Ages. Of England. And so then my family gets put in charge of Ireland. This is where Deb comes in.
Right, yeah, right. That's going to be in Ireland, right? Like the threads are just too amazing.
The threads are amazing. So as I'm sitting there, they said, there's more. I'm like, no more. This is enough. They said, King John sent his son and my grandfather, another grandfather, to run Ireland. Because at that time, England ran Ireland. And the word butler, now we know it as a servant word, but it's actually a word that means the person at a coronation who serves the wine. The Archbishop of Canterbury serves the wafer, the butler serves the wine, but he's a lord, okay? They're royal. So we dropped our name, which was Walter, and changed it to Butler because King John gave my grandfather, second chief butler of Ireland, 2 barrels of wine for every 10 that came into the country. So there's 15 butler castles in Ireland, going up through all the chief butlers of Ireland. And the big, gigantic last one that we had is in Kilkenny. We gave to the Irish people and they completely restored it. And it's magnificent. So I can't wait to go to see, because the castle my grandfather lived in looked like the Tower of Pisa, it's like 300 years earlier. But to see these places. And then they gave me a list of Butler descendants. And it's remarkable. The Wright brothers, Neil Armstrong, Andrew Lloyd Webber, C.S. Lewis, James Joyce. It just goes on and on. And people say, well, how is that possible? I said, because England, Ireland, and Scotland were the ones that founded America. And of course, my grandfather, King John, he did the Magna Carta, but then my cousin, I think it was, I'm sorry, I can't remember right now. A couple of kings down, they turned, I'm sorry, Edward III. Edward III was a great king. My grandfather, guess maybe 15th? I have to look, I don't know. But he took the Magna Carta and made it into the magnificent document that we have today, that then is the document that the Declaration of Independence is modeled after. And so I just sat there and started to cry because I couldn't believe it. And every single one of my friends that knows me said to me, we're not the least bit surprised. And that's when you realize you really don't know yourself. There's the way other people see you, the way you see yourself, and then the way you really are. That's the bottom line. And that fire, that determination, all of that, I credit to them. And 2 parents who did the best they could when they could. And my soul, wherever that comes from, wherever that's been, my fear was death by cubicle, and I refused to be ordinary. So I would like to thank everybody that stepped on me.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
I know, so powerful. I think we've bought your memoir. Let us know where, but you know what, before we, let you go, there's a book that you read. I know you are such a lover of words, and you talked about fear. And I think we got it. Where is it? What's the title of the book?
The Art of Fear. If you go to my website, just send me a note. Just send me a note, and we'll get a book to you, because woo, I don't know why that's doing that.
Yeah.
It's sold. Let me see. Why is that doing that?
It's because of the virtual.
There you go, right there. Yeah.
The Art of Fear. I put my daughter in a gas mask. So it's my daughter in a gas mask, and it's my memoir, my first memoir told through poetry. And what's really interesting about this, it's 2 years before the pandemic. So it's a prophetic work on the pandemic.
Wow.
When you look at the images. So go on my site, give me a note, and we'll get a book to you. It's sold out on Amazon, and I wasn't going to give them any more. And, I'm just moving in other directions, and that's done.
That's done. One of my last questions to you is, not everybody knows what the READ program is.
Oh, okay. All right.
You're very big, and I know it's a huge part of your heart, and you have worked on that for so long, and now you're working with, not banning books, but just tell us what that is.
Okay, so the READ program is done by the American Library Association, and it says the word read on top, and then it's got a famous person reading their favorite book. So I've just photographed like everybody for this series. And it was interesting because I had to talk to these publicists and these people to get them to do it for free. There was nothing in it for them. And we got them all to do it. So I've done I think about 200 of them over the years. And it's just a labor of love. And now these banned books, I'm going after the banned books. And now, I don't know if you know, but they're closing libraries where the librarians refuse to let the books be taken out. And it's now in Florida, a 3rd-degree felony if the librarian does not take the books out of her classroom so they can be vetted.
Wow.
Because if your kid reads Tango Makes Three, they're going to be gay. But the problem is this is fascism. This isn't America. This isn't what my ancestors fought and died for, and yours, and the people that came here seeking freedom to read whatever they wanted to read. And Carnegie and Morgan building 150 libraries in New York City so the common person could have access to education through reading, because they couldn't go to Yale and Harvard. They were all immigrants, including my father. So it's labor of love. And I still do the read. I just shot Sarah Jessica Parker, I think was the last one. And I'm very heavily into the banned books now, very heavily. I just spoke at the New York Public Library on it. We were sold out. Actually, people tried to sneak in to protest me. I was very proud of myself over that.
Wow, great. You made it when you have protesters.
I know. I was like, yeah, that's really good, But we can't. Sorry?
I said that's one level up from when they say you're successful when you have haters.
Yeah.
You've taught that when you have people protesting. Mm-hmm.
But that's the whole thing, is that people, they don't like you, or they're hateful or whatever. Turn that into energy.
Mm-hmm.
I turned all my fear into energy, all my anxiety into energy. And I just refused to be kept down, and just kept picking up that phone and sending out cards. And I sent out 500 mailers to all different sports magazines all over the country. I got one phone call, Sports Illustrated. They had to hire a woman.
Wow.
So, you just keep pushing and pushing. And I am very big on reinvention. I want you to please go look at my Alice in Opioid Land. I was on Fox Television with it, the local channel here. Bill Pullman plays the White Rabbit, but he's a cocaine dealer, okay? And how Alice gets hooked on her opioids. Because I tell my story of my addiction, of what they did to me. They're like, oh, let us fix this for you. It's an Irish disease. Oh, we'll fix it. No. So now it's very funny, and I'll leave you on this. So my friends are like, aren't you going to get that done? My friends that are very prissy, And I'm like, no. Well, you're just going to leave it that way? I said, no, I'm going to knit it a sweater. It's my early warning system. She's a Viking. Tread softly. Because there's the other side of me too. I've been kidnapped. I've been thrown out of places. I've been, where you've got to stand your ground and people have weapons. And the minute you show weakness, I don't care if it's in business, I don't care if it's with your boss, you have to stand in your own power. No, I don't think so. But thank you. Did that all make sense?
Absolutely.
Just raise your hand if I made sense.
So you were like powerfully gracious. Like you are powerfully gracious. I know when you get called a force of nature, and we get that, but man, are you gracious? Like seriously, are you gracious? wow, what a pleasure. I mean, I know the pleasure of being able to hang out with you, and, I was showing you my crest and you were showing me your crest, and I know I don't have her same history, but thank God I have a crest. We could talk about it. Who knows, right? You got to dig deep. And of course, I'll be in Ireland. And of course, she's like, you're going to Ireland. We've got 23 castles there. I'm like, yeah, okay. Of course.
15.
Which one am I going to?
15, but Andrew Lloyd Webber redid a whole one and made it a stud farm for his wife. So we are stopping by there.
Absolutely.
He's a cousin. We'll just knock on the door. He must know he's a butler,
Yes.
because he wouldn't buy that without knowing he's a butler and renovate a castle, But
Oh my
thank
God.
you, everybody, for having me here. And thank you. It was so great listening to everybody and listening to your other takes on fear. I found it all fascinating, and it all really relates to each other. It all does. As women, we've been kept down since the beginning of time. It wasn't until, we were goddesses until organized religion. At the beginning of time, women gave life. These guys are looking around like, can you believe what she does? She's a god. She brings life. Okay. And then you get the patriarchy comes in with organized religion, the Madonna, the whore, all this nonsense. And now it's our time to push back against that and take back our power. And I've been doing that my whole life. And I see that every one of these women, one way or another, the lady that defeated breast cancer, each one of you is doing your own thing on your own terms. And I dig that about you. And I hope that you'll all write me a note, get my email and write me a note, and hook me up on LinkedIn, and we'll get my book to you. Okay.
Absolutely. Now, before you go,
Yeah.
you gave one incredible gift. And so look, you guys can contact Kimberly Butler Photography. There isn't anyone else like her, apparently. You're going to see that when you get to her website. So you can.
There's a lot of people better than me.
There's not people better than you. There's not people better than you. There's not people better than you. Okay. Here's the gift. Here's the gift to the one person that's going to get this right. And if you just joined us, you need to put your email and you need to put the answer to this question. And so one person, so the value on this, I think you can all agree, I've tagged it priceless. This is a priceless gift because you're going to get a phone call, a personal conversation with this one. Wouldn't you all like to have, Sarah's eyes just beamed out. Wouldn't you like to have a conversation with her? Absolutely.
I'll tell you all the stories I wouldn't tell here.
I know. Be prepared. Snacks. We were visiting and ordered food. You need food. You need substance. Okay. So there was one thing that she talked about, particularly when she was talking about the difference between when she was approaching companies to be the photographer, that she had a certain energy, that she had a certain philosophy about how to be. Wasn't egocentric. She was talking about how to be, and it starts with H. And if you listen to her whole presentation, not only is she powerful, not only is she gracious, but she is something that starts with H. And put that with your email address. That was one of the things that got her through to People magazine. You are a force. You are not only just a force within yourself, but you're so inspiring and you're so motivating. And there is so much that I took away. There is so much I took away from what you shared. And just listening to you makes me feel like being a better person. Just listening to you makes me feel like being a better person because it affirms me. It affirms me. You're giving me the permission to affirm me. We're all different. We're all different. We talked about that at the very beginning of this. We're all different. We all come to the party with a different, set of balloons. A lot of people have overcome things that are, insurmountable. Some people not. But finding who you are and being okay with who you are, and like Carmel telling her boss no, and you getting your way out of a situation, like all of those things, that takes not only bravery and courage, but it takes resource. I think it takes self-resource Because at the end of the day, from the conferences or the books we read, we come home. And I always say it's the last 3 minutes that you get to spend with yourself before you put your head on the pillow. And that's where you get to meet you at the end of the day. And you just make me want to give myself a little thing of champagne at the end of every day. Just being able to be who we are. I just have, just thank you so much for sharing.
That's very, very kind of you to say. And I have been working very hard since I become more and more self-aware to be a better person and to devote what time I have left of my life in helping other people. Because I think whether it's to read or, you know, I adopted a child out of Lithuania when she was 8. You know, whatever you can do, because we're so lucky.
Mm-hmm. You said something really powerful. You can't paint your situation with one brush. No. And you talked about forgiveness. When you're talking about, you can't paint somebody with just one brush. You can't.
No, there were wonderful, great things about my parents.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, great things. I wouldn't be who I am without my parents' greatness and without their flaws. That orphanage probably made me more determined than anything else that I ever did.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to share some love on you. Someone's going to get to spend some time with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. It was so great listening to everyone.
All right. So she's going to be in the book. She has a book. She's going to be in the book. You're going to want to be in 262 Mission to be hanging out with her.
She's going to be in the 262 book that we are doing this summit on. Like, imagine being able to be in this community, being featured alongside the fabulous Kimberly Butler and all. I mean, did she just pour into you today? Do you feel just empowered and loved and energized? And I mean, she just in who you are, Kimberly, but showing up authentically. And like Deb said, like, we all came here with wearing different clothes, being different, and we're not the same. But who I am is enough.
I don't know what to say. I just winged it, and I just tried to be the best, most authentic person I could be. And I'm deeply touched. Deeply touched. Thank you all.
You came for us. You showed up today, Kimberly, and that just means so much to all of us here, and for Deb picking up the phone and calling Kimberly, right? Like, we heard.
Yes. I'm like, okay, let's do this, you know. And now, my one last thing now is ageism. It's the last ism. I see you in the yellow over there. Let me see what her name is. Sarah, that's my middle name. Ageism.
Sarah has invited you to be a guest on her podcast. She's put all her stuff in the
chat. Thank you. Okay, great. So everybody promises to write to me, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's get to the next wise one.
Already reached out, Kimberly, and messages in your LinkedIn.
Thank you.
And an email.
Thank you.